welcome to Diamond Training. As you know, Wednesdays are for webinars. And today we have a very exciting presentation available. It's on positioning yourself to success. There's no elevator to success. You have to climb the stairs. You have to put in that work. And we have a very inspiring presenter, Nasia. I always follow her on LinkedIn, and I've been a follower of hers for a year or two now. So I'm very excited to have her share her presentation. Nasia, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Johannes. Good morning to everyone. I'm guessing maybe I can allow just a minute. I see there are some people who are still trying to connect. So I'll just give them a minute to get in, and then I will start the presentation. All right. Good morning once again. Johannes, can you please just confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. I'm so excited to be talking on a topic that I'm really passionate about today, positioning yourself for success. As earlier alluded, my name is Seya Amambo. I am a certified executive management and transformational coach, a management consultant, and a motivational speaker. So to dive right into our topic for today, there we go. All right, please just bear with me. There can be some technical issues that are unforeseen. All right, so when you look at this picture, who is successful? Is it the woman in the first picture, A? Is it the woman in the second picture, B? Or is it the woman coming out of the car in the last picture, C? What does success mean for you, or what is success? There are different views of success. When you achieve your goals and dreams, a result of getting or achieving wealth and respect, growth, development, improvement, and getting better, the achievement of inner peace and getting rid of stress, getting the job you wanted, or being able to live your life in your own way. So I'm going to take you back to the picture that or the slide that I showed earlier. And I'm going to ask this question again. Please just bear with me. There we go. So from the definitions that I gave, I'm going to ask again, who is successful? Success is really just something that you get to define for yourself. And you cannot always fully rely on other people's definitions of success, because success could mean different things to these different ladies that you see in this picture. All right. So success is a state of mind, and it is personal, as I had earlier alluded. You get to define success in your own way, dependent on how you perceive it to be. And there is no one size fits all definition for success. There is no formula to success, and it is never too late to write your story of success. As Johannes mentioned earlier, there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. And this is something that Zig Ziglar mentioned in one of his quotes, to say that whatever success means to you, whatever the term means to you or how you perceive it, you need to know that it doesn't happen overnight, and you have to work to get to where you want to be, as per your definition of success. So how do you position yourself for success? First of all, you have to understand what it means to you. Secondly, you have to adopt the right mindset. And thirdly, you have to set a goal and take action. Let us get to understanding what success means to you. First of all, you need to define it in your own terms, as I had earlier alluded. Success doesn't happen overnight, and most of the time, the way you perceive success is shaped by your experiences, your beliefs, your exposure. So in my own personal experience, if I am to relate my understanding of success, growing up, I have always, felt or perceived being in the finance industry as a driver to success, until I started working and I realized that this was just not it for me. So it was right then when I took a step back and I really reflected on, or reflected and redefined the term success. And it was right then when I got to discover my passion for coaching, for working with people and helping individuals to really, transition from a place of stagnation, to help people to discover their inner potential and transition into or grow into better versions of themselves. So that for me was my point where I got to redefine the term success in my own terms. So you really have to identify your why and who you can serve with it. When you are trying to understand what success means to you, first identify your why and who you can serve with that why. The second point there is to adopt the right mindset. So by doing this, you can identify and address limiting beliefs. So what is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is a state of mind, a conviction or belief that you think to be true that limits you in one way or another. What are the possible root causes of limiting beliefs? The possible root causes of limiting beliefs could be experiences from the past. Perhaps you encountered or you were exposed to a traumatic event in the past that now affects how you perceive yourself as an adult, if you have not healed from it. Another possible root cause is perhaps when something negative was said to you or about you that you now started believing. Another possible root cause could be comparing yourself to other people, to their possessions, their achievements, and perhaps sometimes even their physical looks that now leaves you feeling that you are not good enough. Here are some of the examples of limiting beliefs. I am too old. I'm not good enough. I never get anything right. I never have money. I don't deserve it. That's not for me, it's for the smart people. I always attract the wrong people into my life. Do any of these limiting beliefs sound familiar? Are these things that you keep saying to yourself? Because for as long as you keep saying these negative things to yourself, this is what you manifest. What you focus on, you magnify. And for as long as you keep having these negative conversations with yourself, this is the life that you will create for yourself. And it's actually quite surprising because in my engagements, in my coaching engagements, I've come to realize that a lot of individuals are, they are still having so many limiting beliefs. Sometimes they don't even know that they are having limiting beliefs. And most of the time, when you are having limiting beliefs or you keep saying these things about yourself or to yourself, it starts becoming like a way of life that you now cannot distinguish to say that this is not really how my life is, but it's just a belief that I placed on myself. So it's very important to be able to identify and address these limiting beliefs. And you can do so with the help of a therapist, you can do so with the help of a coach, or even just talking to somebody. You can also try and study certain patterns of behaviors that you have that can really help you in addressing these limiting beliefs, because they can be barriers to your success, sometimes even without knowing it. And then we move on to the third step of positioning yourself for success. And it's to set a goal and to take action. Sorry. All right. So you need to really ensure that your goals or the goal that you set is SMART. So meaning it's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's realistic, and time-bound. And once you really set that goal, you need to then break it down into action steps or into an action plan. that then translate into your daily habits. Because as that saying goes, a goal without a plan is just a wish, right? I think a lot of us set goals. For example, even at the beginning of the year, we set New Year's resolutions, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate to this, to say that, okay, this year, this is what I want to accomplish. And come December, you know, you are still scratching your head to say that, oh, okay, next year we try again. But most of the time, the reason why we do not, you know, manage to succeed or to implement whatever we have set to do for ourselves is that we do not have a clear action plan. It's one thing to say that by January, or let's say maybe by June, I would want to have, you know, accomplished something. I would want to have, you know, maybe attained something. And you come June, it's like you haven't even, you had not planned for it, or you didn't start working for it. So it's very, very important that you break down your goal into daily habits that you can follow. And of course, take action. Make sure that you show up whenever you said you would show up, and just do what you said you would do, because nobody can take action for a goal that you have set for yourself. All right. Another way of taking action is to elevate your personal brand. Now, some of you may wonder what a personal brand is. A personal brand is an ongoing process of developing and maintaining a reputation and impression of an individual. What are the 10 steps to building a powerful personal brand? A couple of weeks ago, I had a discussion on building a powerful personal brand. So perhaps to go into depth with this, you can go and check out my social media pages. But for the sake of today's topic, I'm going to just, you know, highlight a few pointers, because they are also really crucial in aligning yourself and positioning yourself for success. So what is the first step of building a powerful personal brand to position yourself for success? The first one is to be authentic, to know who you are, to understand what you stand for, to understand your values, and to apply them into your daily life. To believe in yourself, to believe in your potential, your capabilities, to believe that you can achieve whatever you have set your mind on. You know, we spoke about limiting beliefs. So believing in yourself really cuts those limiting beliefs out, because you know that you are capable of achieving whatever you set your mind to. You then have to look beyond your current role. Looking beyond your current role basically it just means that you realize that your potential doesn't end with your current position, right? You realize that you have so much value in you that, you know, doesn't just apply to what you are doing, right? That you don't just limit yourself to what you are doing, but to see yourself as, you know, the person that you envision yourself to be, right? To see yourself as a personal brand, as an individual, even when you are part of a team, you know, the team of your current company, to see yourself as a personal brand and to know that you are contributing something valuable to the team as an individual, right? And that value you can also apply in other positions. To make sure that you show up. This is actually one of my favorites because it really just, this one really hits hard. And I will give an example. You know, for example, when it's time to work out, to wake up very early in the morning, it's very cold, but you set a goal to, you know, work out, to exercise. And when you get out of bed, you are contemplating whether you need to really go for that run or, you know, to really just go and exercise. But showing up basically means to really just do whatever you said you would do, even on days you don't feel like it. Yeah. Showing up also means dressing for success, how you present yourself. You know, when you are going for meetings, how the way you appear or the way you communicate, how should people relate to you with how you are presenting yourself? So these are things that really one needs to think about when you are talking about showing up. To capitalize on your network and relationships. I always say that it's not enough. It's not enough to know so many people. It's not enough to just be collecting business cards and sending connection requests on LinkedIn. The question that we should be asking ourselves is, what value are these people bringing in my life? Or what value am I bringing these people? Because it's, you know, when it comes to networks and relationships, it's not always about what you can get from other people. It's also about what you can give. So we need to really ensure that we capitalize on our networks, that we build sustainable professional relationships to make sure that when we are going ahead, we know that we are surrounded by people that bring value in our lives, or that we also can be valuable to them. The sixth step is continuous improvement. Continuously working on yourself. I always say that personal development is not a destination. Personal development is a journey. You know, you have to make sure that you are showing up every day. You are doing what you said you would do. You are challenging yourself to be better. The journey of personal development includes wanting to know more about your field, going that extra mile, and not limiting yourself to what you know. The seventh step is to be consistent. I think this one really speaks for itself, to really just keep the discipline and to do what you said you would do when you said you would do it, and without any excuses. The eighth step is to become visible. A lot of people are still in their shells. I always say that it's not enough to just be good at what you do. Sorry, just give me a second. I think. All right. Okay. Apologies for that. I always say that it's not good enough to really just be good at what you do, and people are not exposed to your capabilities or are not exposed to your work. Because what impact are you making? I always say that, you know, highlighting your capabilities only in your CV is not good enough, because who are you impacting with those capabilities? Is it only your team or your potential team that will benefit from those capabilities? So you need to really, you know, learn to become visible, to engage more, to, you know, contribute on different platforms to your field, to learn and you know, share information that other people can benefit from. Because to be honest, you can be so good, but if people do not know what you are capable of, trust me, you still just be in your shell, and nobody would be impacted by your contribution. The 9th step, don't compare yourself to others. This one, I think, you know, a lot of people are guilty of, because how many times do we find ourselves comparing ourselves to other people, you know, what they have achieved, you know, what they have, where their kids are schooling, you know. I always keep saying that peer pressure, I think, is actually even more common in adults than in teenagers. Because this is the sad truth. We get so accustomed to wanting what other people have that sometimes we tend to forget, you know, our blessings. We tend to forget to be grateful for what we have or how far we have come. I always say that the only person you should be in competition with is the person that you were yesterday, as you strive to become a better version of yourself. And for as long as you keep comparing yourself to other people, you will never be satisfied. You know, you always want what other people have. And this we really need to address, because it's something that a lot of people are still struggling with. The 10th step is to fill your cup. Also one of my favorites. And I speak from experience when I say that you need to fill your cup. Because many times we find ourselves being so busy being there for other people that we tend to neglect ourselves, you know. Sometimes, you know, it can be anyone. It can be our families, it can be our friends, it can be, you know, our colleagues, or even just work, that you are so consumed by doing things for other people that you tend to neglect yourself. So one really needs to make sure that whatever you do, I'm not saying that do not be there for other people. All I'm saying is that make time for yourself as well, because if you do not do that, you have so little left for yourself that it will then even affect you, and you start also, you know, spreading yourself too thin when it's time to show up for your family, for your loved ones, for your work, for anything. So make sure that whatever you do, you always fill your cup in order to have it full, right? And in order to, when you pour from it, you are pouring from a full cup, and that it's completely okay to sometimes say no. That doesn't make you a bad person. Sometimes it really just means that you are choosing yourself at that point in time to fill yourself up in order to be able to pour into other people's cups. All right, and then another way of positioning yourself for success is to see yourself as a leader. I believe that we are all born leaders, but it's our upbringing, our exposure, our environment, and our beliefs that shape how we perceive ourselves as leaders in our society, regardless of our social status. So this is my belief that we are all born leaders. And I also believe that you can lead from any seat, that you do not need a title to be a great leader. There are just certain characters that I feel are already in you that you just need to nurture to be able to become a great leader. All right, great leaders possess the character of influence. And this is really just the ability to inspire others, you know, to become better versions of themselves, or to be better at what they do, to excel in whatever career they are pursuing. So a great leader possesses the character of influence. A great leader leads by example, right? You don't just tell people what to do. You are also practicing what you preach. A great leader is honest and true to their moral principles. And here we are really talking about integrity. Great leaders are confident in themselves, their potential, and that of others. That you believe in people, you believe in yourself. I think also this is very important in organizations, to understand that, especially when you have a leadership position, to understand that you will not always be right? As much as you are confident in yourself, as a leader, you will not always be right, and that you will need contribution from your team. And to be honest, sometimes those contributions are the best contributions. So allow your team to contribute, allow them to, you know, bring or expose their capabilities to the organization. And trust me, you will definitely be on your way to success with this. Lift others as you rise. Also one of my favorites. As we grow in our careers, doesn't matter whether it's in business, whether it's in the corporate world, it really doesn't matter. What a great leader does is to ensure that when you are rising, you are lifting others, you are empowering other people. Great leaders are not selfish with information. They don't just want it all for themselves, right? Great leaders are also thinking about, okay, so when I am to leave, or when I leave this organization, who will be empowered to take over? You know, these are the questions that great leaders keep asking themselves, and they are making sure on a daily basis that they are teaching their team, or they are guiding their team, they are mentoring their team members to really just scale up and to be able to be empowered enough one day to take over from where they left off. Great leaders are good communicators. They are good listeners as well. And this is actually a powerful technique that I discovered even in my time of working in the corporate world, that when you communicate to your team, there is no one size fits all approach, right? Your team members will have different ways of, receiving information. They will have different ways of accepting what you are saying to them, right? And I've seen that where a lot of leaders are challenged is that sometimes they use one approach for all employees, and sometimes you get to realize that it doesn't really speak to each employee the same way. So a great leader identifies the communication skills that she or he needs to incorporate to make sure that whenever they are engaging with their team members, they are engaging with their team members in such a way that it brings out the best out of them. It inspires their team members to willingly, right? To willingly want to be better, even without them being there, right? I think we have to do away with micromanaging. It doesn't work anymore. So when you inspire your team to really just take up initiatives or to take ownership of their work, then that is a sign that you are destined for success. Great leaders are also visionaries. They are strategists. They have the ability to dream, but also communicate that dream to the team so that they are also inspired to align themselves, to that same dream. So now it's time for reflection. And this is where I really ask each one of you what success means to you. I showed you I think it was the second slide, where we have three different pictures of ladies. In the first one, we have Mother Teresa, who's holding a baby. And I asked, who is more successful, or who is successful? So here you really need to define what success means to you. Because in Mother Teresa's, in Mother Teresa's case, she impacted so many lives. She may not have had a lot of material possessions, but she fed the homeless. She she set up orphanages and soup kitchens. She educated the less fortunate. So how would you define success in your own words? In the second picture, we had a teacher who's giving a lesson to her students or to her learners, right? But what if that is what that teacher is passionate about? What if that is what brings so much fulfillment to that specific person, And in the third picture, we had a lady who's coming out of her car and getting into her private jet, perhaps headed off to another business meeting somewhere. So it really just depends on how you perceive success. What does success mean to you? And what action are you going to take today to position yourself to attain that success as per your definition? I think this is really where we need to start. And remember, as Napoleon Hill once said, our only limitations are those we set up in our own minds. I think we really need to move away from these limitations, these limiting beliefs, thinking that you are not good enough or thinking that it's too late to achieve whatever you want to achieve. And start redefining what success means to you and making that decision today, right now, to position yourself for that success that you envision yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasia. That was a very insightful presentation. Now we're opening up the floor for any questions. So Nasia can really look at the questions on the presentation, or maybe you have any personal questions you would like to ask her. I actually have a few questions. The Deputy Minister actually joined us, and she made a comment that I think when you're talking about that, what did she say? Everybody has their own vision of success. But she was saying, you know, as a country, we also have a vision of success, and that vision is Vision 2030, and we should all look at that vision and how we can attain that success. And so that was her comment. But we really open this up to anybody else who has questions. The floor is yours. You can just unmute and ask the question. While we wait for somebody, you see, I just had one gentleman from Facebook saying, when you're talking about filling your cup, he's saying, when you said choosing yourself, apparently that should be a presentation on its own. He's maybe looking at you maybe doing a full another presentation on just how can you choose yourself, how can you fill up your own cup. So he was really excited about that.
Yeah. I'll definitely take that into consideration. It's a very important subject to talk about, and we tend to really neglect it most of the time. So I'll be happy to tackle that.
If there's any other questions, please do not hesitate, just unmute and then you can ask the question.
Okay, I'll go for it. First of all, I just want to say thank you for this presentation. It's quite befitting, especially in this era that we're in with COVID, you know, the effects of it, you know, how much it has impacted us as individuals. So I wanted to just firstly extend that. Secondly, the point around balance, I'm not sure if you maybe want to touch on that, but it's mainly, you know, balance from a sense of, you know, you're a parent. Okay, I get the point or the notion that you mentioned around, you know, what success looks like. But what is your take on balance in terms of, you know, you want to be a great mother, you want to be great at something. At the same time, you want to be great at work. You want to be, you know, the best of the best and being, you know, authentic and bringing yourself and showing up. How do you balance, you know, the two? I hope it's clear.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. I guess maybe I'll just jump right into answering your question. So my take on balance, That's a very interesting subject. But I really feel that it all starts with you, right? It starts with, firstly, accepting yourself and loving yourself. I feel before we can actually even get to, you know, being a mother, to being a wife, to being a friend, to being a co-worker, we need to start with you as a person, right? How are you taking care of yourself? You need to make sure that, first of all, you adopt the right mindset, you know, that you eliminate any limiting beliefs that you have of yourselves, so that you can transition into that version of yourself that you envision for yourself, right? Then after that, that is when you can then accommodate everyone else, right? To say whether it's your kids, whether it's your husband, whether it's your co-workers, you know, and making sure that you show up for them. Because the main thing here is that sometimes when we are showing up for other people and we don't make time for ourselves, we don't have that me time, we end up really exhausting ourselves to a point where we have so little. We end up also spreading ourselves so thin that we don't show up even, you know, to the people that we are supposed to be showing up for in the best way we can. But if you can really position yourself in such a way that you are confident in yourself, you are taking care of yourself, you are loving yourself, it helps you really to also show up for other people in the best way that you can show up for them. So that is really my take on the whole thing of balance.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sia. Thank you, Ms. Priscilla, for that question. There is another question that came through Facebook from Mr. George G. He was on the personal brand. He said, you talked about how you present yourself, and then he has trouble, you know, with presenting himself. You know, that he can't really afford a stylist, and you know, and his perception of maybe how he dresses is different from, if I'm getting it correctly, is different from everybody else. So, any advice with him on that?
Okay, so let me just rephrase to see if I understand correctly. So he's more referring to his physical appearance. He's saying that he doesn't have a stylist, so how can he go about showing up and being presentable? Is that the question?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. You know, when it comes to how you present yourself, firstly, it's not even about, you know, wearing branded clothes, for example, you know, to come with the latest suit out there, or to come with, you know, specific shoes. It's really just about being confident. Firstly, being confident with yourself, right? Of course, this is something that one will have to learn. You know, you have to learn also, let's say, on how to give a handshake, on how to match different, you know, clothes that you have, for example. So it's not really about going out there to attain more things, or to, you know, basically spend your whole salary on clothes. It's about working with what you have, right? And making sure that when you are working with what you have, you still show up in the best way you can. And most of the time, really, what shows up most is your confidence, because you can have the most expensive or you can wear the most expensive brands. If you are not confident, it will still not look good on you. So the very first thing that will look really good on you is your confidence, and everything else follows.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I think that really answers the question. Again, I'll open the floor up to anybody who wants to ask a question, or you can just drop it in the chat if you're too shy to speak. Is before anybody comments, actually the deputy minister had mentioned, apparently you spoke about nurturing, if I get it correct, nurturing leaders' characteristics, and she was saying
Yes.
that yeah, you could look into self-awareness, empathy, and use power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, correctly, as
oh yes,
yeah, as enhancers in that. That's just a text from her.
oh yes. I really agree with that point. And speaking of empathy, I always say, I think also in my discussion on personal branding, I spoke on empathy, and I said that leaders need to understand that they are not working with robots. They are working with emotional beings, who have emotional needs. And it's not enough to just be results oriented. We need to know how we can relate to other emotional beings and help them to really become better at what they do. So I completely agree with those points raised. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Monsieur. Any other questions? All right, I think in the absence of any questions, Monsieur, I want to thank you for really taking the time out. And I want to firstly encourage the participants that if you want to be coached, personal coaching, personal branding, you can always contact Monsieur. She is available on Facebook. I see she's very active on LinkedIn, so please get in touch with her. She is certified, so please do get in touch with her. And again, Monsieur, I really want to thank you for taking the time out to present. It's a very insightful presentation. And then the participants, if you want to see the presentation again, just really go on to Diamond Training Facebook page. It will be a live. So it will not be live, but it will be recorded. So we'll place it on there, so you can have a look on it again. Again, Mr. Musia, thank you for your time, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Johannes. Thank you, Diamond Training Institution, for having me. And thank you all to all the participants. I hope this will not be the last time. So I hope to see you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.